Look, I've sat in the chair for the last hour, so I've had a good I've had time to reflect on the debate for the last hour. And while there are difficulties out there, undoubtedly there is, a crisis in not just the rental side of things, but also just the overall general housing picture. I do believe that Housing for All has had some positive impact on the crisis that is there, and I think that's lost sometimes in these debates. I look at my own constituency, and we can all probably name different schemes across our own city and county, across the country. I look at Borhaboy Road, 150 odd units of social and affordable houses. I look in Montenotte, but again there's going to be 80 social and affordable houses delivered, as well as schemes, 3 or 4 schemes across Blackpool, into Farranree and out to Bishopstown. And many of those schemes didn't happen for the last decade, and they're starting, albeit slowly. They are starting now, and they will in time have a positive impact. Just before me, Deputy Griffin mentioned the repair and lease scheme, and it's a big bugbear of mine because I see different counties, such as your own county chair, Waterford, who are actually excelling at the introduction of the repair and lease scheme and delivering a fairly steady stream of properties back to supply. And unfortunately, some local authorities, including my own, just for one reason or another, don't seem to be engaging with the repair and lease scheme, as well as other local authorities. And I would urge the Minister and Minister O'Brien to actually set targets for local authorities when it comes to delivering under those schemes. I think it's incumbent on us to set them ambitious targets that they have to deliver. Cost rental was mentioned as well earlier, and I was lucky enough to have a scheme in my own town in Glenmire, where we have 30 odd units of cost rental currently out for advertisement and due to be filled shortly. And the scheme is very welcome, but it was inundated with applications, and it's clear that there is a market for that cost rental model, which will reduce rents from between 30% and 50%. So I would like to see a greater extension of that. Unlike others, I was aware of the fact that local authorities can purchase HAP tenancies at the moment and have been able to do that for some time. But again, it seems to be some local authorities better than others. Again, my own local authority are currently working on a policy in relation to that. While the Minister mentioned that over 300 houses across the country have been purchased to keep HAP tenants and RAS tenants in situ, that's very welcome. And I'll be reminding my own 2 local authorities of that figure in the morning. But as I said, it's just very disparate and disjointed, and I think clarity needs to be brought to that. I think it's worth bearing in mind as well that the Croí Cónaithe scheme, when it was announced a number of months ago, to be fair to the Minister, he has listened in the last few months and he has again extended that. I was looking at villages like Carrignavar, Whitechurch in my own area, which are only 10 minutes from the city centre, but largely rural villages. And like that, people were restricted from availing of the Croí Cónaithe fund, maybe a couple of 100 metres from outside a village. So it's great to see that scheme as well extended. And I know that the take-up on that will take off in the coming months, because it is a very worthwhile scheme. And it's worthwhile mentioning that many in the opposition are actually against that scheme, which does supply a grant of up to €50,000 for people to bring those derelict properties back into habitation. One thing, Minister, that I would have said this to Minister O'Brien, that I am disappointed with is, again, with some local authorities and their engagement with the single stage scheme. The vast majority of local authorities engage with a 4-step scheme for borrowing for the reintroduction of social housing into the market. But for some reason, there's very low take-up on the single stage scheme, and that's right across the country in all local authorities. And even some local authorities in Dublin, where you would think that there would be a higher demand than other local authorities, certain councils are not availing of it for any scheme whatsoever. And it's baffling for me as a public rep when I see a scheme where a local authority can avail of up to €6 million not being accessed for one reason or another. And local authorities are saying that they're reluctant to use it because of the risk involved with it. Officials in the Minister's department are saying that no such risk exists and local authorities will be covered. And I think, again, clarity needs to be brought to that. We're sitting here twiddling our thumbs when that fund is there, available and accessible. And as I said, no restriction on the number of times that local authority can apply for it, and it's up to €6 million per scheme. Finally, I'd just like to mention, there is a debate here tonight, and over the last few days I myself would have made my own opinion on it quite clear in relation to the concrete levy. I'm not against a levy, I'm just against the timing of this, and obviously the Sinn Féin motion tonight will discuss it and a vote tomorrow will ensue. But I think it's worth reminding, when all the social media videos will be packaged and snipped at some time this evening and tomorrow, that it needs to be stated that all opposition parties that I'm aware of are actually in favour of the concrete levy scheme in one shape or another. Apologies, Social Democrats aren't. The vast majority are, and I think that people need to be reminded of that when all those social media videos hit Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at some stage in the next 24 hours. And it's just a reference to people what Deputy Eoin Ó Briones has said as lately as 28th of September, where he welcomed the defective concrete products levy. It is clear, however, that the government has not provided enough to fund the scheme. Is he suggesting that we have a greater levy in your own bill later? And I just hope that comes across in your videos, as I said, in the social media. Thank you, Chair.